First, there were the fires, and now Southern California is drying out from the strongest storm of the season.
Flooding danger closing roads near Trabuco Canyon tonight in Orange County.
Our crew there as the driver with LA Fire climbed out shaken, but somehow safe.
A foot and a half of running water outside of the house.
We don't need another scare, It's just too close, back to back.
It started as just another rainy day until it wasn't. Within hours, the skies erupted, unleashing a catastrophic storm that would go down in history.
California is drying out from the strongest storm of the season. 7 inches of rain fell in some places, unleashing dangerous debris flows.
Rivers of mud swallowed entire neighborhoods. Highways disappeared under raging floodwaters. Homes crumbled like sandcastles. And in the most unbelievable moment of all, a fire department SUV was swept off the Pacific Coast Highway straight into the ocean. This wasn't just a storm, it was pure chaos.
Up to 3/4 of an inch of rain fell in less than an hour. The mud and debris drained across the highway right into the ocean not far away, and it created a real emergency.
The wind screamed at over 70 miles per hour, ripping trees from their roots and snapping power lines like twigs. Streets turned into deadly torrents, carrying away cars, debris, and even entire structures. Emergency sirens blared as helicopters raced against time to rescue stranded residents before the floodwaters took everything. No one was ready. No one saw it coming, and the destruction was beyond imagination. From the Palisades to Malibu, from Orange County to the Hollywood Hills, Southern California was drowning.
In Malibu, a mud-covered SUV tossed surfside after a terrifying moment mid-storm.
But here's the worst part. This could happen again. Scientists warn that storms like this are becoming stronger, more frequent, and even deadlier. Is California prepared for what's coming next? Stay tuned as we break down the storm that brought an entire region to its knees.
The close call blamed on an atmospheric river, drenching charred burn zones, flooding the Los Angeles metro area, even unleashing a rare tornado near Oxnard.
The night started with a slow drizzle, but within hours, the skies unleashed a torrent of rain. In the Palisades, streets were swallowed by fast-moving rivers of thick, soupy mud. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a disaster. Sunset Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway, usually bustling with traffic, were now unrecognizable. In some areas, the mud was 3 to 4 feet deep, trapping cars, engulfing sidewalks, and making roads impassable.
Dangerous storm, I really should say destructive storm, especially when you look at that, check it. That is Sunset PCH. Hardly recognize it now, huh? The water receding and what is left is shimmering there under the lights. That is mud. Really a river of mud, and it's deep, waist deep, maybe 3 or 4 feet deep right through there. Cars have been getting stuck. They've been pulled out. Wait until you see what happened.
The catastrophic mudslides were not an isolated event, but the inevitable consequence of months of preceding weather conditions. The hillsides, weakened by years of prolonged drought and exacerbated by wildfires that had stripped away essential vegetation, had little defense when the torrential rains arrived. Without the stabilizing roots of trees and shrubs to hold the soil together, the saturated earth began to loosen. Gravity took over, and the land that had once been solid beneath homes and roads gave way, collapsing into uncontrolled slides of mud, rock, and debris. Residents watched in horror as their neighborhoods were overtaken by mud and debris. Many were trapped inside their homes, unable to step outside without sinking into the sludge. The worst-hit areas saw vehicles buried up to their windows. Some drivers, attempting to push through, found themselves stuck.
It's terrifying. Pushed the whole railing and everything, and then took the car right into the ocean. If you go right back that way, you can see it sitting right where the waves are crashing on top of it. It's super scary.
The chaos wasn't limited to mudslides and flooding. The storm's powerful winds wreaked havoc across the region. Gusts reached up to 70 miles per hour, toppling trees and power lines, leaving thousands without electricity. At Ontario Airport, where over an inch of rain fell in a matter of hours, flights continued, but travelers struggled through torrential downpours and flooded parking lots.
Ontario Airport camera, look at it. More than an inch of rainfall recorded there. Despite the challenging weather, operations continued as normal.
In some of the most terrifying moments of the storm, emergency teams were called to Whittier Narrows, where a woman was found clinging desperately to a tree.
South El Monte, a rescue crew there saving a woman stuck in a tree near Whittier Narrows. Emergency teams searched the area where three rivers meet after the woman called for help.
The relentless floodwaters surged around her, rising with alarming speed. Every second counted. The sheer force of the current threatened to pull her under, the water churning with debris, branches, garbage, even entire sections of fencing ripped from the nearby park.
This dramatic video shows the force of the storm as rain pelted down, creating a river of mud, rock, and sometimes toxic debris.
At a Smart and Final supermarket in Azusa, the relentless downpour caused the roof to collapse. Shoppers and employees were forced to evacuate as rainwater poured in through the gaping hole. Inside, shelves were soaked, produce was scattered across the floor, and the damage was extensive. Aisles once filled with goods were now lined with wreckage, the ceiling's metal framework dangling dangerously. Fortunately, no one was injured, but it was yet another example of the storm's sheer, unrelenting power.
The store was behind yellow tape. A quick look inside revealed produce scattered and water on the store floor. We were told no one was injured.
Unable to escape the relentless pull of the thick, wet earth. In Malibu, the famous coastline became a battleground against nature. The rain came down in sheets, sending debris cascading down hillsides, overwhelming storm drains, and flooding streets within minutes. Homes built along scenic cliffs suddenly found themselves at risk as tons of earth began to break away and collapse. Coastal residents woke up to find their backyards vanishing into the sea, foundations cracking under the immense weight of the shifting ground.
Came down, took everything off, took the car into the ocean, and then directly behind me after I turned around, there was another landslide that happened.
Further inland, neighborhoods in Orange County faced their own struggles. Trabuco Canyon, an area still recovering from previous wildfires, saw massive amounts of mud and debris flowing down from the charred hillsides. Entire roads vanished beneath the floodwaters. Residents who had once prepared for wildfires by clearing brush and reinforcing their properties now found themselves facing an entirely different kind of threat.
This is why we definitely got a lot of that today. It's a mess out here, not only here in deep Orange County, but all over the region. Really treacherous driving conditions everywhere. Here's some shots we got coming from LA and from the Inland Empire.
First responders were quick to the scene, pulling the driver from the wreckage before the waves could claim him. Miraculously, he survived with only minor injuries. But this was just one of many close calls across the region. Emergency crews worked through the night, battling against the elements, rescuing stranded residents, and pulling vehicles from the depths of the mud. The sound of sirens and helicopters filled the air as first responders attempted to reach those who were trapped. In many cases, evacuations had to be carried out in dramatic fashion, with residents being airlifted from the rooftops of their homes.